Like a few cold ones, rain or shine, cranking old Don Williams, singing Tulsa time in the backyard with some good friends that don't give a damn. It ain't the weekend, it's just a laid back way of life, good time, small town truth. Might not be for you, it's for me. Yeah, I'm a hard-working, hard-headed SOB. I might drink too much, play a little too loud, ride my Harley too fast around this old town. And it might not be the life for you, but it's damn sure for me. I love a good dive bar with the light.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chit Chat, a podcast for encouraging others. That's right, Chit Chat, encourage one another, is going places, and we're sharing encouragement all over the United States, some countries as well. I'm so glad you're back listening and checking us out. In our opener, we had Joel Gibson Jr. singing Sure For Me, as we share a snippet of a song each and every week, as well as his website, joelgibsonjrmusic.com. He has concerts, he has merchandise, hats, hoodies, and much, much more. I'll tell you a little more about it at the end of our podcast. Some upcoming concerts he has coming up. So stay tuned, sit back and relax. This is Chit and Chat, encouraging one another. Today, on the Chit and Chat podcast, encouraging one another, I have a great honor to talk with Shane Laketa, a.k.a. Liquid Shano, on social media. He started a podcast about 4 years ago called Coffee Talk, where it was about a weight loss podcast, but it evolved into a self-help mental health podcast with over 250,000 downloads. And, I mean, he's from the East. He's from the far, far East, like in Maine. That's how far he's from. And I met him a year and a half ago on TikTok, and he has always been on there sharing encouragement, kindness, positivity, as well as doing live videos, playing music, and just having a great time with people popping in and out of his videos, encouraging others. And this guy, he does not have your ordinary voice. My voice is kind of monotonous, and Shano, he's got a voice of gold, man. He should be on the radio somewhere. It's my honor today to have on my friend Shane Laketa, or AKA Liquid Shano, and he shares positivity, encouragement, and kindness. This is Chit Chat, encouraging one another. Hey, sir.
What's going on, Jody? How you doing, man?
Not too bad, yourself?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking.
Ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend Shane Laketa, a.k.a. Liquid Shano, from the far, far east, from Maine.
About as far east as you can go. Yep.
Yes, sir. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you and chat with you. You are, sir, you're always sharing positivity, kindness, encouragement, and I'm excited to have you on today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
No problem, man. My pleasure. My pleasure for being here. Thanks for asking.
Before we get in the nitty gritty, I want to pick your brain with some icebreaker questions. I call this time coffee break. You're a coffeeaholic like I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you and your wife 2 tickets to go anywhere in the world for a 2-week vacation. But for the first week, it's going for the first letter of your name. And the second week is the first letter of your wife's name. Where are you guys going on vacation?
So I'd probably use my wife's first letter. The letter of my wife's name is C, starts with C. And we want to go back to Cabo, Mexico again, because we went there for a vacation a few years back, and it was one of our most favorite times of all. It was so relaxing, so beautiful, and the weather was perfect, and everything about it. The resort was amazing as well. So to bring back some of those old memories would be pretty amazing, to be able to experience that again and get some relaxation and some good quality time to be able to go down there. And for mine, let's see, if I was to say somewhere that starts with an S, I would say Sicily. Sicily is a place that I'd love to be able to go to. I was born in Naples, Italy,
Okay.
on a Navy installation over in Italy, and we didn't live there very long, but when I joined the military myself, I went over to Italy, but I went over there as a military member, so we didn't really get to see a lot of stuff. So Sicily and Rome and those kind of things, we got to see a little bit, as a military member. But I'd love to be able to go back and head over there with my wife and son to be able to go over, just experience, some of the world as a civilian rather than just as a military folks. So those would be my two places that we would go to.
Gotcha. My wife's heritage is from Ireland and Italy area. She wants to go to Ireland and Italy as well. And I did some digging. I just knew you found out you're a U.S. Navy veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I am as well. So thank you for your service.
Oh, you too.
Where did you serve at?
Oh wow, all over the place. So I was on four med cruise, or three and a half med cruises. I was in the second Persian Gulf. I was in Somalia. I was in Haiti. I was in Bosnia. So a lot of different conflicts that required us to be there. So, but I was on amphib carriers. So I was on boats that carried Marines that were square bottom, and we would carry all the vehicles, the boats that they would travel on, and everything else. And I was a communications guy, so I would always work on the radios for the military members that were hitting the beach and going into war and everything else. So I was always working on those kind of things. So most of my career was spent on those types of ships. And then my last 3 years in the Navy, I spent time up in Cutler, Maine, very, very top part of the U.S., working on a station that we broadcast to submarines. So it was kind of a cool station. It was very desolate and very isolated, but it was very cool station to be a part of.
So when did you serve? What years did you serve?
Yeah, so I served from 91 to 2002.
Okay.
Yep.
I was in 89 to 93.
Nice.
U.S. Construction. I was a radioman. I did 2.5 Westpacks. I was in your neck of the woods a couple of times. So way too much sea time.
Yeah, a lot of sea time.
Can you tell me about three people who made the largest impact in your life growing up or even now?
Let's see. I would say probably one of my major influences, of course, is my father. I just lost him a couple years ago to Alzheimer's, and he was the kind of guy that would enter a room, and he would command the room. He was an entertainer. He was in the Navy. He was a Navy musician, actually, for almost 25 years.
Wow.
And played piano and about 25 other percussion and other instruments, and wrote full pieces of music for full concerts and everything else. Was such a talented individual and had such a loud, great personality. So he was inspiring the way that he could, because I'm sort of like an introvert with an extrovert kind of layers. He was definitely 100% extrovert. That guy. He was if you could just watch him work the room, and it was almost like he was a politician, but he wasn't, because
Right.
he was just he just knew everybody and everybody knew him. So I think he's one of the ones that I would say probably gives me purpose at times, to be able to step out of my comfort zone and do things that maybe make me uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but also doing good for others and continuing to push forward is a definite things that he inspired me with. So I'm quite inspired by him. Two other individuals, probably, if I'm to look at overall the way that the whole world is responding now, and in the place that we're in, and the craziness that we are, I always try to lean in on people or things that have been peaceful influences in the world, and always tried to be able to, bring some of those views of being kind and being somebody that gives back to others or does things for others. So I think both Gandhi and Mother Teresa are two very individuals that I could say, overall global, doing things for the world and doing things to give back to other people and continuing to help others, even in times of strife and tumultuous times. I think is an inspiration. And I think we need a lot more of that these days. And we don't see enough of it. And I think that we need more influences and more individuals like that can be a beacon of hope and beacon of unity, rather than the divisiveness and the craziness we have going on now. So.
Yeah, that's so true. Especially, all over the world, just it's so hard to, bring positivity, encouragement, and I think I always think of it as a rock in a throwing a rock in like a stale lake, a stagnant lake, and you make ripples. We can make positive ripples in our communities and our neighborhoods. We can really make a powerful impact.
I agree completely. I think that we sometimes think that the small little ripple that we may make is going to be just small in my pocket where I'm at right now. When in all actuality, if you ever look at a body of water or a puddle or anything like that, and you drop multiple small pebbles, those small pebbles then become big waves, and then the big waves become action. And I feel as if it could be treated the same exact way, with everybody really focusing on just being kind and doing things for other individuals to continue to push forward. I think that if we all could focus on that, we could move mountains.
Oh, definitely, definitely. What's something you cannot go a day without, and why?
Well, I think most of my social media content and everything else, I'm always layering something to do with coffee in it. So for me, I think that coffee is probably my number one go-to, that even if I get up in the morning, I usually have a cup ready to go no matter what and no matter where, because it's just, when I was in the military, and especially in the Navy, we do overnight shifts. And I remember, standing watch from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And, I wasn't a really big coffee drinker before I joined the military, but after I was in the military, we would drink that coffee black and just get us moving and get us going the right direction. So it's just interesting, that we I've just stuck with it ever since, and it's now become something more of a comfort rather than a need. You know what I mean? But the
Yep.
comfort that I feel is just the comfort of me and a cup of coffee, and it's relaxing and it kicks off my day on the right foot. And I think that that's probably my number one thing that I can say that I need daily on if not multiple times a day.
And you and I have something in common as well. I love. I have a small collection of coffee cups, about 30. How many do you have? You have a good variety of coffee cups.
I would say, as I turn my head around, I'm looking at my shelf. I can see probably 60 of them on just the shelving unit that I have. And then I've got some through at the cabinets downstairs and everything else. So I'd probably close to 70, 75.
You have a favorite? One favorite you like that?
Oh, I would. I really don't know if I have a favorite, but I have my Star Wars collection is probably one of my favorites, sets of them. So I have like I've got an Admiral Akbar, I've got a Darth Vader, I've got a Chewbacca, and I've got a Yoda, and the ones all really, really large, giant mugs, an Ewok one too. So I like my Star Wars collection, and I usually break those out on a nice, relaxing weekend because they're really big mugs, and I know that I only have to have one cup for all morning, so I'm usually good to go for that. So,
do you have a favorite quote?
oh, a favorite quote. I've got multiple ones that I've used in the past.
You can share multiple ones.
And I know that the one that I use whenever I'm looking for motivation or motivation to push forward through adversity. So, as we all know, we live life, and when we're going through life, life can deal us a lot of really, really bad cards, right? So literally at the end of the day, here you are, and you're just trying to be able to put one foot in front of the other, and then it just keeps on, people take advantage of you, or people come after you, or they're doing whatever, or maybe life just in general just deals like high obstacles. So I remember Mike Tyson made a comment back in the day that says, it basically says in some words or another that everybody can hit all that they want to until they get hit smack right back in square in the face, right back at them. Because literally at the end of the day, when we go through life and we're going through all these different things that are thrown our way, that are tossed our direction or anything like that, if you just go by it and just go, let it kind of wash off to the side, or skip going for your goals or your aspirations based on the fact that life is difficult, you've got to fight, and you've got to continue to push forward and continue to put one foot in front of the other. If you are passionate enough about going after something, punching it right in the face and going after it is one of the most important keys, because you can't lose sight of yourself just based on what's going on around you or what kind of obstacles are put in your way. Because if you want it bad enough, you can go for it, and don't ever let anybody tell you differently that you can't fight for a good fight to get there.
Yeah, very, very, very true. What about your life? What do you want to be remembered for? What's just sharing encouragement, kindness? Could you kind of paraphrase?
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a good summarization of everything that I'm really strive for. We did this exercise when I was in leadership school for the last company that I worked for, and it was called servant leadership. And one of the things that we did was we sat in a room, and one of the things that they asked us to do was they said, what do you want to be written on your tombstone, or what do you want somebody to say as your epitaph for when you're gone, and what do you want to be remembered for? And that, in the same vein of what you're talking about. And one of the biggest things that I realized at the time that I was in servant leadership training was, I don't know if I would really have a lot of things that people would say about me. Now, this is about probably 10 to 15 years ago. And I remember sitting in that room going, wow, I don't know if there's anything really truly inspirational or motivational or anything that I can really truly say. I'm just kind of going through the motions. I spent some time in the military. I'm a good buddy. I'm a good friend. I feel like I'm a good dad and a good husband, but that's really, those kind of things are important to me, but things to be remembered by. So I remember leaving that conference, and I said to myself, I need to change that. I need to change the narrative of that, so that way when people do want to leave an epitaph, or they want to, leave words of, this is what I want him to be remembered by, or this is what I remember about him. Words like kindness, words like a big heart, words like giving back all the time, volunteering, philanthropic, donating time and resources and everything else to continue to try to make the world a better place would be something that I really, truly, at the end of it all, would love for people to remember me by. And like even my son and I were talking about the other day, where funerals and things like that are always something that's kind of somber or anything like that. But I'd want people to I'd want people to party and be able to say, hey, listen, you know what, let's have a good time, and let's think about the way that they live their life to the fullest at all times, and continue to push forward. No matter what the cards that he had was dealt to him, he continued to put a smile, push forward, and inspire and encourage other people along the way.
Gotcha. Very, 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 very powerful. So I have 3 little questions for you, and we'll dive into some great conversation. True or false? In 1939, Maine passed legislation to make it illegal to put tomatoes in clam chowder.
I'm going to say true.
You are correct.
Because the only way to have clam chowder is the white clam chowder. There's no, I know people like the Manhattan clam chowder with the tomatoes. No way, man. It's all about the cream base. It's delicious, and it's amazing.
True or false? Fig Newtons were named after a Boston suburb of Newton.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say is I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say that is true. I'm going to say it's true.
You are correct. It is true. And you get a fill in the blank here. It's no right or wrong answer, but it's the first thing that comes to mind. In your opinion, New England has the best blank.
Sports. Yes.
You go that route.
I mean, you have six-time world champion New England Patriots. You've got the Boston Celtics, who have been in the Eastern Conference Championships for years and years. The Red Sox have won 3 or 4 times in the last decade, or actually should say 15 years. So, if you want a city to come to or an area to come to for some winning sports franchises, that's what you got to do.
I had a great opportunity to see a buddy of mine before I went to boot camp in Manchester, New Hampshire. I flew up there and saw him for a week or so. We scalped tickets to sell the Red Sox. I saw Clemens pitch. I sat by the Green Monster. I did Cooperstown, and we toured the Carrier Dome. I mean, that was like the trifecta of the East Coast. That was so much fun.
That's great. That's awesome.
Could you give the listening audience a brief bio on who Shano is?
Yeah, I think that we're in this place where if I have a bio for me, I'm a guy that's a dad and a husband of over 20 years and a dad of 16-year-old son. I'm a proud father. I'm a proud husband, and I'm somebody that no matter what adversity is thrown my way, I'm going to continue to push forward with staying the path of acknowledging the things that are happening, but also always thinking about ways to continue to push forward. I mean, over the last few years, even with the whole pandemic aspect of it, I worked for 16 years with a company, and I got laid off about a year and a half ago. And just because of the pandemic and things shutting down and them reorganizing. So anybody in their right mind that knows that they've got 401k, they've got benefits, they got all kinds of stuff, good pay and everything else, and all of a sudden it's gone, you could really crawl into a hole that way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so basically, I've always lived by the motto of what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And I feel as if no matter what I do or where I'm at, I may not be right now, the here and now as being my end goal, but it's always going to be striving for something better or always striving for something good or continuing to push forward. So if I was to summarize everything is I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And I'm also a person that is going to continue, no matter what's going on, to invest in others and continue to do the right thing for society in general and creating a world that's a better place for our future generations and for our generations that are living right now.
Yep. And when I started podcasting, I had a conversation with you on kind of put my toe in the water a little bit, trying it out, what you wanted to do, and you're like, go for it. Just the world's your podcast, whatever you want to go after. And you really encouraged me. So really thank you for your words of encouragement and just like, go for it. And so can you share about your podcast and Coffee Talk? You started about 4 years ago, and you and I talked about it was a weight loss podcast at one time and evolved, right?
Yeah. So basically it started off. So this is how it all kind of started. So what I was doing was I was blogging basically my weight loss journey. So, I was trying to lose weight, and I was kind of just doing a daily morning journal entry called Coffee Talk. And it was basically me with a cup of coffee and my thoughts. And I started blogging and for my own personal need. There wasn't any sharing with anybody. There wasn't nothing like that. And so then I hopped on some message boards because I was, just kind of looking for some support and different stuff. And so I started sharing those blog entries with other individuals, and I gained a following of people that liked my writing, and they liked the way that I was able to relate the struggles that I was going through in real life, and the fact that a lot of people were not used to seeing guys talk about, emotions, and guys talk about the way that they feel about things, or health, or mental health, or testicular health, or prostate health, or anything like that. So it really started off as just a blog, and people started to really latch onto it and follow it. And then I did a couple audio entries of the blog, and a couple people heard my voice and said, okay, wait a minute. You got a great voice. They said, you've got a great message. You know how to write really well. Why don't you start the podcast? And of course, at the time I was like, what's podcast? I don't even know what you're talking about. And so, somebody said, if you get a microphone, it's easy to do right out of your own home, and you can get a microphone and a throughway. You can record it right on your computer and just put a podcast out and try to be able to use the following that you have through the blog to be able to do the podcast. So it started off about 3.5, 4 years ago. And started off pretty slow at first. I was just at maybe 20 or 30 followers, and I was pretty happy with that. And I was like, cool, man, if you like what I have to say and about weight loss. Well, over the years, what has happened is that more and more people started following, and more people started to listen to the podcast, and it became less about weight loss, mental health side of life. So how do you get through things that you have to get through? What's the way that I think about things as a parent or as a husband or anything like that? And what I found is, I'd say, in my overall statistics from the podcast itself, I have about 90 to 91% all females from the age of 40 to 60. And it's interesting on how they love to listen to what I have to say, because, and I've been told this by many, is because their husbands, their grandfathers, their sons, the men in their life don't know how to talk about the stuff that's mushy gushy and sensitive, or emotional, or doctor related, or going to get checked out or anything like that. And so when I would talk about my own experience, they started to go, wait a minute, I wonder if my husband, my grandfather, my brother, or anybody like that, boyfriend or whatever, feels the same way. And what they did was they learned a lot from what I was saying, to go to the table to talk to their spouses and their boyfriends or whatever. And I never would have thought that would have been an outcome of the podcast itself, but it was therapeutic for me to talk on a microphone, but it was also therapeutic for them to hear, hey, guys have feelings too. And the guy that might be looking at you go rub some dirt on something to be able to continue to move forward is the same. Be there to go, wow, I'm really scared in this moment, or I'm emotional, or I'm crying in this moment, or anything like that. So I feel like it's evolved into something much more than just a weight loss or anything like that. Now it's more about mental health. It's about being the best version of you in the daily grind that we go through, and continuing to push forward to just be a pillar of society, and trying to be able to do the right thing.
I think for guys too, we forget, we don't want to ask for help. We
No.
refuse to ask for help. I think our pride gets in the way, and I think we just hate showing emotion. We hate showing we're hurt internally, even when we're physically we're hurt. So I think you're doing an amazing thing in helping mental awareness up and down the board, all ages. So thank you for what you're doing.
Oh yeah, and of course the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and and the thing about it is that you got to think about it this way. Men and women and kids and adults and old and young, and no matter what the race, no matter where we're at, everybody suffers in some form or fashion, some form of a mental health thing, right? So whether it's you're sad, whether it's you're depressed, whether it's clinical, whether it's not, whether it's therapeutic or you go to therapy or whatever else, one of the things that I always believe wholeheartedly in, and I'm an advocate for it, and I preach it on the podcast and throughout social media and anywhere else that I'm can influence or be able to push it forward, is don't ever be afraid to ask for help. If you're afraid to go to the doctors because you're afraid of what the prognosis is going to be, early detection is important. If you are afraid to go to the therapist because you're afraid that they will look at you differently, or will think of you if you've had some dark thoughts, or you've had some stuff like that or whatever, don't be afraid to do it, because it helps so much to be able to reach out, to be able to push forward. And I'm a huge advocate for people to get the help that they need to continue to push forward, and not be afraid to do so. So from a guy's perspective, the more we can spread that word and be able to get guys to like you said, check that ego at the door, and check that whole I've just, this is the way I've grown up, and this is the way that I've always been, and this is the way that I was taught, is you're tough, and you know it, and just keep pushing forward. Well, we need help as well. As a matter of fact, one of my biggest things that I try to lean in on is our veteran community, and knowing that we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide based on the fact that they are PTSD, mental health, a lot of trauma and different stuff that they've experienced, where they don't get the help that they need, and then they take that extreme route of suicide, is a really, really a maddening and sad stat that we're a part of nowadays, because they won't go get the help, because it makes them look weak, and we have to change that narrative. We have to change that whole viewpoint.
Oh, definitely. I've had a couple of guys on my podcast. One guy does Operation Prevent 22. He gets together outings for veterans. And you go, axe throwing and hiking and camping, and they just got to get together as for camaraderie, brothers, hang out together. And one of the sponsors of this podcast is Veteran Roasters Coffee. They help homeless veterans get jobs, and they help them to get back on their feet. So I thank you for all you do helping veterans. They sometimes the veterans get kind of pushed aside. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
What kind of encouragement did you receive in your podcast from people that were kind of on that verge of suicide or issues they're going through, or you say that, and they reach out to you thanking you? How did you get any encouragement along the way?
Oh yeah. So that's probably the one of the main things that keeps me going and keeps me pushing forward. Listen, it's not easy to record podcasts all the time. It's not,
No.
with the time constraints and with everything and with content, right? So here I am. So you're doing an interview with me. Most of my podcasts are just me and a microphone, right? So here I am talking about my thoughts or talking about whatever. I do interviews every once in a while, but mostly it's just a solo act where I'm talking on a microphone. So to be able to put together a half-hour show about content that you put out there can be really difficult, right? One of the things that really inspires me or moves me forward are the exact situations of what you're talking about, where I've had people that have said to me, whether it's people in the weight loss community or people that are in the veteran community or people that are just in general listening to the podcast, have all said to me, you have taken, by me listening to your podcast, you have removed some of that negative energy that comes with asking for help and reaching out and doing the things that we need to do. Because almost every podcast, I always bring at least a little bit of encouragement for people to seek the help that they need. And the other part of it, where a lot of people are anti-medicine or anti, those kind of things, where I'm like, listen, you know what, if you find the right mix for yourself with a therapist or anything like that to be able to move things forward, wouldn't it be nice just to go a day without having some of those dark thoughts or having some of those things that are weighing you down or bogging you down, and you can actually start to live your life looking forward or putting one foot in front of the other rather than always taking two steps back. So I have a lot of folks that will email me or reach out to me or text me or reach out to me on the other social media platforms like Instagram or TikTok. And they're just like, listen, I've been listening to your podcast for, a couple years now, and I needed every word that you have said, and I go back and re-listen to some of them again, and I'm like, wow, so you never know what impact you can have on people by just trying to be able to continue to move forward and be a positive influence in life. So really, that's what drives me and motivates me and keeps me moving forward in a space where I may not have a lot of time to record a podcast, but I do it for therapy and I do it for others as well. So I think that there's a great reason to do it.
A lot of folks use social media for bad things. You, my friend, are doing some amazing things, raising money. You're giving back to your community and shelters. I seen you at a restaurant giving out some tips. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I was, when the pandemic happened, I went, basically like everybody else, we were all just kind of closed off and we were in our, quarantined and not really going anywhere and doing anything. So I ordered an iPad because I wanted to get some of my old creativity going, where I was doing artwork, and I did a lot of digital artwork back in the day. I did a lot of graffiti artwork when I was a kid, and I did some comic books and different stuff or whatever. So, but throughout the years, I joined the military, and then, became a dad and became a husband and everything else. And so I just kind of lost sight of a lot of that artwork stuff. So when the pandemic happened, I needed something that I knew that I could do, because the gyms were closed, everything else was done, whatever. I just needed something that I could, exercise that. So I started drawing, and I was doing them on social media on live. Now, I first joined TikTok when I was basically, my sister was in town and she was saying, you got to check this app out. And I'm like, all right. She goes, I use it so I can keep an eye on what my daughter's doing and this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see what's going on with it. And so I started to, just kind of like post on a daily about things that are going on at work or whatever, just for the heck of it. More like almost like an audio or video entry, like I was saying earlier about a blog. So basically I got my 1,000 followers from there. When you get 1,000 followers on TikTok, you can then go live. And so what I did was I started to go live and I started to do artwork on my live. And so people would come in and I would just have the camera on whatever I was digitally working out. So whether I was doing graffiti work or I was doing an octopus or doing some tattoo work or anything like that, that I was just kind of drawing, people were really drawn into that. So then I started doing some faces, what we call avatars. If you ever look at what people have on their social media platforms, they'll have a little like a cartoon figure of themselves or, a depiction of themselves to kind of like represent who they are or whatever else. And so I started doing these avatars and I started charging $25 for the avatar. And I was going to take that money that I was making with the $25 for the avatar itself, and I was donate it back into the community. And I was like, yeah, let me see what this concept is going to be. So I thought to myself, Jody, I was like, you know what, I'll probably raise a couple $100 and then I'll be good to go, whatever. So throughout the whole entire pandemic and all of this stuff, and I started getting better and I started getting better at it and more, and people were ordering them and people knew my style and they were like, oh, I want one of Shano's avatars and this, that, and the other. So I started, working probably for about a year to a year and a quarter or so on these avatars, and the overall money that we were able to raise, give back to the community, not only through tips to the servers, because that's what I first started doing, was just to give back to the servers, because during the pandemic a lot of your restaurants shut down and these people were just trying to put food on their kids' table and whatever else, and they couldn't even do that. So I was giving $500 tips to baristas and to servers and all this different stuff. And what ended up happening is that overall to this date we've raised over $17,000 that we've given back into the community. So
That's
not only
awesome.
yeah, it's crazy. Not only through tips, not only through giving back to the veterans' homes. I would go out on Christmas and I would buy for the local shelters all warm clothes for all of our homeless folks and homeless vets around the area, with new pants and underwears and socks and blankets and all kinds of stuff. And I would use the money that I was getting from that to be able to, bring down to the shelter and bring, a couple $1,000s worth of just, items that they could use during the winter and during the cold months up here in Maine. So it's so inspiring to me to know that I have a talent that I've got with drawing, and I was able to take that talent, raise money, and then give that money back to the community and make someone else's life a different day. Jody, you should have heard some of the, I have some of the videos on TikTok that I've posted of, the waitress in tears. One of them said that they weren't going to make their rent this month. One said that she had student loans and books that she was trying to pay for that she couldn't make, and this is going to help her whole semester. And other one said that her and her boyfriend, who was working in the kitchen in the back of the house, that they were going to be evicted if they didn't have like an extra $500 or whatever. So the $500 has helped save them during the holiday time frame. So the stuff that we've been able to do has been pretty amazing, and I'm looking forward to doing more as we keep this whole ball rolling.
Just hearing you tell me this, and I don't cry. My eyes water a lot. See the powerful impact you have made on families that you'll never know. That you saved them from eviction. You saved them from getting food on the table. So, oh man, it's awesome. You mentioned your sister, and I saw you have a GoFundMe account on your sister for your sister.
I do.
And I love those people who wanted to donate to help with that. Can you tell a little bit about your sister and the GoFundMe?
Yeah. So my sister and I, when we were growing up, I had, a single mom, and I was pretty much the fatherly figure in the household with me and my sister. So we were growing up, and I had to kind of like raise her, and with a single mom. And then when my mother moved down to Florida, we moved with my dad, who was in the military. We moved with him and stayed with him for a period of time or whatever. But the consistent constant was always my sister and I. So, throughout the years, whether I was in the military or going different places, we've always been pretty close. And so recently she just got diagnosed with breast cancer. So my mother did too. My mother beat it. And then my sister now has it, and they're going to be doing MRIs and some other stuff that they're doing to be able to figure out what the course of action is going to be. But as we all know, those medical bills add up really, really fast. And even with insurance and even with all the stuff, anybody that's been through any kind of procedure, any kind of medical emergency or anything, or even just a routine one, these days, the way that the cost of medicine and medical facilities, no matter how good your insurance is, you're still paying a lot out of pocket. So
Yeah.
so I basically put together a GoFundMe for my sister because I know, I mean, she doesn't have all that much money, with her raising two kids and the husband down there. And they both are police officers down there in Virginia Beach. And so I just figured I'd do something for her to be able to help alleviate some of those medical bills that are coming in. So if anybody does want to donate towards the GoFundMe, I have posted it on my Facebook page, and my Facebook page is either Shane Laketa, or you can also get to it through Liquid Shano 1973, right there on Facebook, and you'll be able to see the GoFundMe that's there if you guys are interested in donating anything to it. Any amount is amazing. We're just trying to be able to raise a little bit for her to have a little bit less stress during this really time where she's going to need a lot of fighting, in her. So.
Right. Well, thank you. While growing up and even now, was there someone throughout your career that really encouraged you not to quit and not to give up and to keep pushing through your challenges you faced?
Well, you know what? I know this is going to sound kind of weird when I say this, but I think that when I was growing up, I really didn't have a lot of that influence, right? So for me, it was self-motivated and self-driven, to be honest with you, Jody. I'm the kind of guy that is going to continue to push forward, no matter if people tell me that it's not possible. And when you tell me it's not possible, when you tell me that, what are you thinking, or why would you do something like that? Because it's not going to, it's never going to amount to anything. Well, then those are the moments that I step up and say, well, let me prove you wrong, right?
Yeah.
Let me prove you wrong. And let me go ahead and show you that anything is possible when you set your mind and your heart to it. And if you're passionate enough about something, you can continue to move forward and continue to be a success, no matter what the people around you are saying. Even the people that are closest to you, that are in your circle, that may give you what they call constructive criticism, where they're like, oh, you're putting a lot at risk here, you probably shouldn't do this, or what, those kind of things. Those words motivate me more than anything else, because I know at the end of the day, if I'm passionate enough and I'm focused enough, I'm my own motivator, and I'm going to continue to push forward. Is it easy to do so? No. Is it hard to be able to battle through some of whether it's public opinion, or whether it's family opinion, or even your own demons that you might have, that you're doubting and self-doubt and things like that? But that's when I fight harder, and that's when I continue to push forward. So to answer your question, it'd be me. I'm the one that continues to push forward and do things that I want to do in life, based on the fact that I know it's the right thing to do, and continue to move forward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes. Yeah. I gotcha. What are your thoughts on the importance of encouraging others, especially in today's society with anxiety and depressions and suicide skyrocketing?
Mm-hmm.
You never know the power for one action or one word can make on someone's life.
Well, I believe wholeheartedly, and I think that it may sound cliche, or it may not sound cliche if nobody's ever heard it before, but I always believe that you never know what's going on in someone else's life. So you might think that this person might be, if they have political differences of view, or if they've got ideological differences of view than you, if they've got religious differences of view than you, maybe there's a racial divide or whatever else that's there. But when you think about it, they're still a human being, and they still have things going on in their life that maybe cause them to do the things that they do, or be the way that they are, or continue to push things forward. So first of all, you never know what somebody's going through. You never know the journey that they're on. So if you treat people with kindness, no matter what your political view or personal view might be of this individual or those individuals, you never know what kind of a difference you're going to make by just showing kindness and being able to move things forward. The other part of it is like I said earlier in this podcast, is don't be afraid to ask for help, especially during these times when where it's an epidemic that's out there right now, with the amount of anxiety, depression, ADHD, all these things that are just come up based on the fact that everybody's just like either been cooped up, or they are in this emotional state, especially a couple different areas of the world, right? We have people that are on our front lines that are
Mm-hmm.
still continuing to fight through this pandemic, that still see people treated every day. They were the only resource that people had of a connection with their family, because they couldn't see their family, and they watched them pass on Zoom. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
these frontline workers need help when we start to really come out of all of this. And the other part of it is going to be around our children, because our children nowadays, literally, if you think about it, we ripped them out of school, we put them all in masks and gave them the fear of everything happening, and they had to work from home. No more social interactions, no more recesses, no more going out and being around in public, no more organized sports or anything like that was going on. It was more like whatever they could kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to all of a sudden, from being social individuals to being recluses, and then now we're throwing them right back into it. And so all these things that these kids have experienced, these frontline workers have experienced, these teachers that are dealing with a lot of this different stuff that with the kids that are in there, literally, we're in a place where we're going to need to ask for help and be able to offer help to these individuals, because we're going to need it. Because if we think it's bad right now, I think it's just going to get worse. And I think that we have to make sure that we take those things into consideration and offer and come up with something to be able to help these individuals more than what we normally would, because of all the stuff that they've been through.
Yep. I agree. Uh, it's gonna be some tough times, and we just gotta continue to pray for our country and pray for individuals, and pray for more influencers and people who are impacting their communities. I think that's the most important, that we keep sharing positivity and sharing encouragement and be there for those who are struggling. I think we really can still make an impact in our communities.
I agree.
Have you ever had a radio gig? You got the voice of a DJ, man. I said that for a long time ago. I think DJ Liquid Shano is a good, your next job.
So I think I've been asked that probably about 1,000 times in my life. Have you ever done voiceover work? Have you ever done DJ work? Have you ever done any of that stuff like that? So one of the great things about social media and really these types of things where you're an influencer or you're trying to be able to make a positive impact is, certain doors do open. And so I've done some commercial work, and I've done some voiceover stuff. No radio work just yet, but I've got a couple little things here and there that I've done. But I'm going to be joining in on another podcast here soon, and some other stuff. So you never know what that's going to lead to. And I've been told this all my life, that I've got the voice for radio, but I've never taken advantage of it. And my wife is always the one that says, you should, though, because you love it. You love talking. You love having conversations. You make, and I've had many people, no lie, Jody, that have been like, I'll pay you to read a book at nighttime. I'll pay you to record a voicemail for me, just saying, hey, how's your day going? Hopefully it's well, whatever. I'm like, what?
The Cat in the Hat by Shano.
Yeah, you just never know, man. You never know what it's going to lead to. But again, like we said earlier, remember how we talked about how some people use social media as a negative thing? I look at social media as something that may open up some doors for people. And if you continue to push forward and you stay focused and you stay consistent and you stay true to who you are, I think that doors could open if you continue to work hard and keep on doing the things you are. And one of the things I try to do is incorporate the microphone and the podcast and a little bit of my social media, no matter what, and continue to try to push forward so that the right people might be able to see it one time and go, wait a minute, we got to get in touch with this guy, and things like that. So.
Yeah, I did a lot of research on everybody have on. I went to your social media. I followed you on TikTok. I found your podcast. You have merch as well. Can you tell us how people can get some merchandise?
Yeah. So any of my social medias, so Instagram, TikTok, and whatever else, I have a link tree that basically you can go into the body or the bio of those different platforms, and it'll take you to my link tree, and then there you'll be centralized to be able to see exactly where everything is that I have going on. One of my buddy always says to me, he goes, Shane, you're a grinder, man. You've got so much stuff going on where you've got like social media, you've got merchandise, you've got podcasts and whatever. And to be honest with you, I sometimes don't even realize that I'm doing all this stuff until I like look back and really take a look at it. So if you guys are interested in any kind of merchandise, most of the merch that I have is all about positive affirmations and positive messages. One of the biggest selling things that we have for merchandise is when my wife fell ill, we we came up with a mantra together that basically says, find your strong. And on the words find your strong, the words in you is colored differently letters. So I designed this, and we put it on some shirts and some mugs to be able to just share our message and share how much of a champion my wife is, and continuing to move forward, and how our healthy lifestyle has really been a lifesaver for her. And she's battled through a lot. And find your strong, and then in you is a message that all of us could use sometime. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we don't feel as strong as we need to, or we don't feel as like we're up to par, or we're being a good parent or a good husband or wife or anything like that. When in all actuality, you just got to dig in and maybe look in the mirror a little bit more through a different lens, and understand that you're pretty amazing, and you're a hard worker, and let's just keep on moving forward and making an impact as we go. So most of the merchandise falls in alignment with that, with that type of messaging, and a lot of coffee stuff in there too, because that's my bread and butter with the coffee. So either way, if you guys are interested, just check out my link tree, and you'll be able to pop right in to see what the merchandise looks like there.
I work a full-time job and a part-time job, and I catch your Tuesday lives a little bit. And there's one song I saved in my Napster. I can't think. It's got a Jamaican theme to it. I forget the name of it, but it changed the world. Does that sound right?
What is it?
I think I can't remember the name of the song, but it's about change the world or something. But I had that.
Yeah. I can change the world with my own two hands, right?
Yes.
With my own two hands. Yep.
Great song.
Great song. It's Ben Harper, man. It's one of my theme songs that, no matter what you may think you're just a small fry. You may think that you don't really make that big of an impact. You may live in a rural town, or you may be whatever. But if you want to change the world, all we have to do is use our own two hands to be able to spread kindness, to spread love, and continue to invest in others, and continue to push forward. You can make a big impact, even no matter how small you may think you are. It's still a huge impact.
As we wrap up the podcast, I got one more question for you, and we'll kind of ponder off here. And thank you for your time. If you can leave words of encouragement to someone out there who is struggling, facing difficult choices and addictions, what would you say to that person who is just having those tough times?
I would say it's the same mantra that my wife and I live by, even more recently, where we, when people face tough times or they face difficult situations, I always try to be able to take a look at the big picture. Here's what I mean by that. Don't always think of something as being Mount Everest that you have to overcome. So whatever it is, whether it's an addiction, whether it's mental health, whether it's whatever, you may think that the mountain seems so big and so ginormous, and you're never going to be able to overcome it. If you're trying to lose 100 pounds, or you're trying to do whatever, you look at the big picture of, sobriety as being such a thing you've been doing all your life. You've been drinking all your life, and now all of a sudden you got to try to stop, or you want to lose that 100 pounds, and you've been overweight all your life, and you think of it as this being this monumental, huge thing. Remember, small victories add up to large victories. If you could start to chip away at things, small little chips, little pieces, small victories, small goals, small bite-sized pieces of that major thing, instead of thinking of it as a mountain, now you can truly think of it as a molehill, where you can actually overcome that and sweep that off to the side and move on to the next one, and sweep that off to the side and move off to the next one. And if you have to right turn Clyde and be able to do something a little different next time, that's okay. We can do that, right? We can do that. So at the end of the day, anybody that's suffering from addiction, mental health, overweight, any of these things that society really kind of brings a negative, image to, remember, you set your mind to, it may take a little bit of while, it may take some work, and it may take some patience, but you can do it. And you just have to make sure that you're giving yourself true, realistic goals to being able to get to where you have to get to, and give yourself grace if you make a mistake.
Shane, I want to thank you again for being a part of the Chit Chat, encourage you on the podcast. You, my friend, I believe you are changing the world. You're making an impact on your community. You have 92,000 followers. You're making an impact on people all around the world, and you're spreading kindness and positivity. And I look forward to watching more videos of TikTok. And just thank you for all you do. And it's been my honor today to have you on. Thank you so much,
Jody. I appreciate it, man. And I also appreciate you saying that just my words of going, hey man, you got to go for it, man. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. If you want to do a podcast, go for it. If you want to jump out of an airplane, go for it. If you want to do whatever, if we encourage people to do the things that they want to do, we're only on this earth for a short amount of time, my friends. So let's go and make sure that we maximize every moment that we can.
And for me, real quick, your TikTok videos, your short ones, like 15 seconds, those get me in the gut. Those are like, you get a cup of coffee going, today's your day, you're okay. I'm like, whoo, that's good.
I love it, man. I love it.
Thanks, brother. Take care of yourself. God bless.
Okay, you too. Thanks so much.
What a great conversation we had today. Shane and I sharing positivity, sharing encouragement, and great to really get to know him, his history, and the amazing contributions he is doing in his community. I'm honored to have him on today. It was so much fun. Hope you can follow him on TikTok, Instagram, and social media. He's a great, great guy. Thank you for listening. This is Chit Chat, encouraging one another wherever you're at. Have a great day.
This episode of Chit Chat was brought to you by Veteran Roasters Coffee. Each purchase of Veteran Roasters Coffee helps employ one of tens of thousands of U.S. military veterans who have found hardship and difficulty upon transitioning home from service. They promise you the best beans from the best veteran-owned coffee company. Veterans helping veterans one cup at a time. Use the code CHITCHAT25 to receive 25% off your purchase at veteranroasters.com. As a wrap up this episode of Chit and Chat, we'll close out with some more music by Joel Gibson Jr. I want to encourage you to check out his website, joelgibsonjrmusic.com, for his concert information, upcoming events, and be able to buy some merchandise, hats, hoodies, coasters, much, much more. This is Chit and Chat. We're encouraging one another each and every day. God bless. Until next time, this is Chit and Chat.
Like a few cold ones, rain or shine, cranking old Don Woods, singing Tulsa time in the backyard with some good friends that don't give a damn. It ain't the weekend, it's just a laid back way of life, good time, small town truth. Might not be for you, it's for me. Yeah, I'm a hard-working, hard-headed SOB. I might drink too much, play a little too loud, ride my Harley too fast around this old town. And it might not be the life for you, but it's damn sure for me. I love a